Okay, good afternoon, guys. And we are up to 8.2, the quadratic formula. This is another way of solving a quadratic equation. Remember that you must have the highest power or degree is 2 in the problem. 2, 2, and no 2, but we will get to that one. Anyway, here is the formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So if you want to know a way of remember this, there is actually a song on YouTube called The Quadratic Formula. You could listen to it. It's pretty cool. And a girl, it's got to be 7 years ago, came up with a saying for this. There was a boy that went to a radical party, but he was too squared, so he left. Okay, he left with 4 amazing chicks at 2 a.m. So that's the saying. If you got a better one, send me some. I'd love to hear it. That's from a student from 7 years ago. Anyway, solving this, really simple. First of all, make sure you have to the second power. That means you're getting 2 answers. Make sure it's equal to 0, and then copy the formula. Well, actually, don't copy the formula. Write A, B, and C. Okay, and X equals, and copy the formula. Okay, and we have the opposite of b, and b is negative 7, so it is equal to 7 plus or minus the square root. And we have b squared, which is negative 7 squared minus 4 times a, which is 3, and c, which is positive 2. All over 2 times whatever a is, and a was 3. So it equals 7 plus or minus. Now let's do all this together. We got negative 7 squared is 49. Make sure when you're multiplying this, you put parentheses around it, so you get a positive answer. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. Negative 12 times 2 is negative 24. And 49 minus 24 is 25. And that is in the square root all over 6. So we get 7 plus or minus, square root of 25 is 5 over 6. And we got 7 plus 5 is 12 over 6 is 2. 7 minus 5 is 2 over 6 is 1/3. There's your 2 answers. Okay, next problem. Even if there's a u in the problem, who cares? Act like it's an x. Equal to 0, copy the formula. A, and right on the side of your paper, A, B, C. I like that better. A, if there's nothing right here, it's a 1. That's negative 2. And that's negative 2. Okay, fill it in. Equals. Opposite of B is 2 plus or minus the square root. B squared, keep it in parentheses, negative 2 squared minus 4 times A times C, which is negative 2, over 2 times A, which is 2 times 1. So we get equals. So negative 2 squared, make sure that's in parentheses. That should be 4. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Times 2 is positive 8. So we get 2 plus or minus the square root of 12 over 2. Now the square root of 12 is 4 times 3, because 4 is the highest perfect square that goes into that. So we have 2 plus or minus. Square root of 4 is 2. Bring down the 3 all over 2. And you could divide, you could go 2 over 2 plus or minus 2 over 2 root 3, which is really 1 plus or minus root 3. There you go. Okay, next one. Moving over. Okay, if it's not equal to 0, move it over. And change the sign. Tell me what A, B, and C are. So A is an invisible 1, B is a 4, C is a negative 1. So you're going to write T equals, not X equals. Now, I'm not going to recopy the formula. We're just going to be using it now. Opposite of B, which is negative 4, plus or minus the square root of B, which is in parentheses, minus 4 times A times C, all over 2 times 1. Okay, moving it over so you can see. 4 squared is 16. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4, times negative 1 is positive 4. So you can see where this is going. Negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 20 over 2. Square root of 20 is 4 times 5. So you get T is equal to negative 4 plus or minus square root of 4 is 2. Keep the 5 under the root sign over 2. And now if you really want to get technical, you could divide 2 into 2 goes once, 2 into 4 goes twice, 2 into 2 goes 1. And your answer is negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 5. Okay, number 4. Well, when you're doing this, no parentheses, so distribute. 2t squared plus 4t is equal to 1. Then bring the 1 over. 2t squared plus 4t minus 1 is equal to 0. A, B, C, 2, 4, negative 1. Okay, so t is equal to, opposite of b, negative 4, plus or minus the square root, don't forget parentheses, of b minus 4 times a times c. Make sure you get that root all the way over, all over, 2 times 2. Running out of space here. 4 squared is 16. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Times negative 1 is positive 8. So that's really negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 24 over 4. Square root of 24 is 4 times 6. 4 being the highest perfect square that goes into 24 evenly. So you end up with negative 4 plus or minus square root of 4 is 2. Bring the 6 over with the 4. And the final thing is reduce. 2 goes into each one twice, once. So t is equal to negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 6 all over 2. Okay, let me give you a print of the whole thing. Take a look. There you go. We're going to turn this over. All right. I have another side with, I believe, 2 more problems. Okay. And here we go. Okay. And they have put this problem on the final exam, so you better be ready for it. Put a 1 under it. What is the common denominator? X squared multiplied by x squared over 1. Squared over 1. X squared over 1. X into x squared goes x, 9x. Nothing cancels, minus 2x squared equals, cancel, 5. Okay, let's bring everything to the left side and put them in descending order. Negative 2x squared plus 9x. Bring the 5 over, becomes negative 5 equals 0. Okay, now you can divide everything by negative 1, or you could just use the numbers the way they are. It doesn't matter. A, B, C. Negative 2, 9, negative 5. So x equals opposite of b, plus or minus the square root b squared, don't forget parentheses, minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. 9 squared is 81. Negative 4 times negative 2 is 8. 8 times negative 5 is negative 40. So we have x equals negative 9 plus or minus the square root of 41 all over negative 4. Can't reduce the square root of 41, so we are done. Okay, one more. What if it's not equal to 0? Make it equal to 0. X squared, move the 6x over. Make it negative 6x plus 11. A, B, C. You could have an invisible 1. Negative 6, 11. So x equals opposite of b, b squared, minus 4 times 1 times 11 all over 2 times a. So we got 36. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Times 11 is negative 44. 6 plus or minus the square root of, and that is negative 8 over 2. And the square root of 8, negative 8, is really the square root of 8 times negative 1, which is really the square root of 4 times 2. So you really get 6 plus or minus, square root of 4 is 2, root 2, and we have an I all over 2, and then divide 2 into both of them, 3 and 1. So final answer is x is equal to 3 plus or minus square root of 2I over 2. If you really want to be fancy, you could go 3 over 2 plus or minus 1/2 root 2I. Any one of those will do. Anyway, let me pull this back. Oops. Okay, pull it back for a second. There you go. See ya.